first of all, for the people who don't know, can you just explain from top to bottom what exactly happened with USADA? How's your, the last year been for you and the Ostarine and everything? Just tell me from top to bottom what exactly happened.
All right, so I was going to fight Jose Quinones October 6th on the Conor Khabib card. 3 weeks out from the fight, USADA called and said I had failed a test from. I had a substance called Ostarine in my test, and so they said I wasn't going to be able to fight. And then it was just a long process from there because USADA didn't really know what to do with it because how many people had been testing for it, not just in the UFC, but in sports in general. They've been having a huge problem with Ostarine. So they weren't really sure what they were going to do. Like I literally just found out a couple weeks ago that how long I was going to get suspended for, and that happened back in September. So I was suspended the entire time from September until just recently, but they weren't sure how long they were going to suspend me. They weren't sure exactly what they were going to do. So they finally came out with a statement not too long ago that I was suspended for 6 months, which the suspension was already up. So it was just a long process, super expensive as far as, you got to pay the lawyer, you got to test the supplements. I tested, I think 10 or something supplements and found out I didn't find anything in any of the supplements. The other 4 or 5 UFC fighters also tested all their supplements, didn't find what it was either. And I guess Ostarine's the number one, contaminated, that's in the most contaminated supplements. It's Ostarine, and they knew that, and they're trying to figure out what to do. So I think they changed the levels of it to where they said that everyone who tested for it in the UFC the levels were so low that there was no performance enhancing benefits. It was literally a drop of water in a lake. There was such a small amount that there was that they said that they knew that none of us were taking it intentionally, so they let us all with some small suspensions. But yeah, it sucked. It was weird not being able to have a fight coming up because that's what I do for a living. Obviously, I fight, so not being able to fight and or not having anything coming up, not even knowing when I'm gonna have something coming up. It was different. It was really different, but it all worked out.
As a young guy, is it hard to stay positive? Because I imagine I would be thinking, "Oh God, it's all over." This early in my career, I'd start panicking. Did you have that moment? Were you freaking out when this all happened? Because it's kind of like new territory for you, right?
Yeah, it was. I read. I listened to a lot of podcasts, read some Stoicism books, kind of learned about the Stoics, and I feel like that last year I learned more in that year than I had, my entire life. I learned so much, not even just a lot about myself, and I got to study a lot more things rather than. And I had to get surgery on my hip, so I got surgery. So I wouldn't have been able to fight really too much anyway because I just got that surgery. So I had 2 surgeries last year, so I was out for a good amount of time, even if I didn't get suspended. But no, it wasn't too bad. There was the first couple of weeks I was depressed. There was nights I would just kind of I was just kind of crying, just like I was so confused on how that could happen. I was, reading comments on social media, calling, you're a cheater, blah, blah, all this shit. And I'm like, completely opposite of that. I'm totally for USADA when it comes to drug testing and all that. I'm totally with all of that, and I totally agree. I don't want to fight someone that's like the whole TJ thing. That was super fucked up or messed up. So I'm with USADA, and I just was so confused how it happened to me, and I didn't get it. But it, like I said, I needed to get surgery anyway, so I looked at it and made a positive out of it and said, I could have went into that last fight, broke my foot again, needed surgery on my foot and hip, and had a loss. So it all worked out fine, and I'm still 24, and it's already all over. I'm already back in fight camp soon. It's already happening. Life happens so fast. I'm just trying to enjoy the moment and just be here now. So I try not to even really think about it too much, and it's already over with. So
yeah. Is there a side that fans don't see? You're talking about reading comments, which is always a terrible idea. But
yeah.
But is there a side, like people sort of think, oh, he's popped, he's suspended, then he's back in there. But surely for you, there must be some residual effects, right? Does whenever USADA show up, do you like get an anxiety attack every time you take a protein shake or something? Like, is it
I
always?
do.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Every time USADA comes to the gym, I get anxious. I'm like, fuck. Because last time when they tested me, I never had that issue. Ever. If they came in and tested me, I'm like, easy. I'm going to pass every time. I don't take anything that I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
So they came in, boom, peed. And then after I'd heard they failed the test, I'm like, now every time they come in, I'm like, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to test for because I didn't take anything last time when I failed the test. So yeah, it sucks every time. Every time they come and test me, it really sucks. But like I said, I'm before you saw it, and I'm glad they're doing those tests. I just want it to be, it sucks that they test for such low levels of things. But hopefully this doesn't happen again. And I remember I said after I failed the test, I said, I hope it never happens to any UFC fighters. Like, even if I don't like them, I hope it doesn't happen. But I still see a bunch of UFC fighters talking shit, saying, "Oh, Sean's a cheater," blah, blah, blah. And I take my words back, and I hope that happens to them. I hope they have to go through that. They're going to talk shit and say, I failed this test, and I didn't take anything. And in my soul, deep down in my heart, like who I really am, I know I didn't take anything. And I hope they have to go through it, and they can see and feel it and, see how they like it. So, there's a couple guys that I see posting shit, but then I remember, like, these guys they don't have a following. No one knows who the fuck they are. And they're literally saying my name just to try to get any. I got called out by 7 people in that year I was out. 7 bantamweights called me out. And it's because they don't have a following. They don't, like, my fight got announced. Every MMA outlet picked it up. Everyone picked it up.
Sure.
So they're just trying to get a name off me, whether they're talking shit or trying to fight me or whatever, which is fine. That's what they should be doing. If they don't have a following, they should be calling out someone like me who does have a following. So I get it. It's business. It's all fucking fun and games. It's a fight game. That's how it is.
For sure. And like you just said, your fight got announced. People are immediately talking about it. And I was going to say, even with this Austrian shit, in the past now, it must be a nice feeling that the UFC are still putting you on this big card in Vegas. It shows they still want to push you, right? That must be a nice feeling at least.
Yeah, I've known ever since I knocked out Alfred in the Contender Series. I had a good relationship with the UFC right away because they see what I see in me. I see all the potential to be a huge star, the Ron Rousey, the Conor McGregor, all that, blah, blah, blah. They see that in me. And so we've had a good relationship with them the whole time. I talked to Hunter and Dana and Sean Shelby, and I told them, I said, hey, guys, I didn't take anything. I promise, I swear. That's not how I want to be remembered. That's not what I did. I didn't do anything. So, and they all believe me, and they all know, feel like they know I didn't do anything wrong. So they're not going to punish me for it. And they all helped me through the whole time. They've all been super cool. So, yeah, I knew they don't really have I feel like, yeah, they know that they're putting me on big cards and all that stuff's going to pay off. Because I'm going to go out there and do what I do and, make the company a lot of money.
Yeah, this is the last thing I'm going to ask about the Austrian thing. You mentioned earlier about it cost you money. Like, you had to pay to get this stuff tested. Don't tell me the exact figure, but ballpark? Like, how much are we talking here? Like, a lot of money?
Well, like, because it's $1,000 to test each supplement.
Right.
And I tested, more than 10 supplements. The lawyer fees, I think you wanted like $5,000 up front, and then how you lawyers are per hour, pay them. So the whole thing was I don't know. It was a lot of money.
Yeah,
it was a lot of money. But it all. I'm not even worried about it. It's all over now, and thinking about it. Just thinking about it makes, it's just like, fuck. But like I said, it's all over now.
Yeah, well, we'll go with that. It is all over now. But yeah, I can't even imagine it, especially knowing you didn't take something and then being told, oh, you found that would put me in a weird spot, I'm sure. So I can't even imagine.
It was super weird. And I thought, first, I remember when Jeff Nowitzki called me, I was literally on my way to practice, and he called me, and I was pumped because I was sparring. It was Wednesday. I was just about to spar. Sparring. We have sparring on Wednesdays, and my fucking sparring's awesome. So I was pumped for practice. 3 or 4 weeks up from the fight, or I think it's 3 weeks up from the fight, and he told me. It was just like I remember the moment. I remember the moment exactly. It was just like my heart just felt like it sank. And like I just started crying, right? I was like, what? Because he said I failed the test. And I wait, what? I just didn't get it. Didn't seem like it was real. I'm like, I didn't take anything. I didn't even understand contaminated substances, any of that stuff. So it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, there's no way I failed the test. I couldn't have. So I just was in like denial. And then it was just a weird moment.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean, it's always worse when you're accused of something that you actually haven't done as well, right? I remember when I was at school and I got in trouble, I used to hate that. So I can imagine it was like even more amplified for you.
Yeah.
Right, so you're fighting Marlon Vera. How much do you know about him, and how did you rate him as a fighter and an opponent? Are you happy that this is the guy you're getting on your way back in?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect matchup for me. I've watched him fight a few times, so I went and looked up on Fight Pass a couple of his fights. When I see who I'm fighting, I look for like speed. I try to determine how fast they are, and he just looks slow, like really slow. Compared to in my eyes, he looks slow. And I feel like anybody that looks slow to me isn't going to be able to hit me, isn't going to be able to get a hold of me, and it's going to be a long night for them or a fast night for them, because obviously I'm always going for the knockout. That's kind of what I've built my career out of, and I'm always looking for the knockout. But so I could see it going like that for sure. Short night for him, long night for him. I feel like he's not going to be able to hit me or get a hold of me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you've been on the side now. Admittedly, you had surgery, so it wasn't like you were going to be super active anyway. But are you just looking to make this the first of a string of fights just to get that momentum back?
Yeah, totally. I'm a super active fighter. I fight. If you go look at my shirt dog, I've had a ton of fights back to back to back. So, yeah, I think it's going to be I'm going to start a good little streak right here.
Nice. And so I'll leave you with this question since we've done 10 minutes already, and again it's a Sunday, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But at the beginning of the year, you would usually ask fighters, what do they see their position being in a year? Obviously, you were out at the beginning of this year, but where do you see yourself, say this time next year? Where do you want to be in your division and stuff like that?
Right. It's hard to say just because I know going through everything I've went through. I didn't plan on breaking my foot. I didn't plan on failing a test. I didn't plan on having to get hip surgery. So I know that life, you can just it just happens. Whatever happens, happens. And, so it's hard to say in a year, because if I would have guessed what happened before that last fight in a year, I would have probably thought I was top 10 by now. But here I am, finally getting unsuspended and coming back. But I think a year from now, if I stay healthy, I'd like to fight, I'd like to finish Cheeto, finish him, get out of there with no injuries, fight a couple months later, finish that kid, I'd like to fight 3 times this year. And I know that would be kind of pushing it, getting close to the end of the year. If I get at least 2 would be nice. 3 would be awesome, but I'd like to just get 2 fights by the end of the year, and I'd be pretty satisfied with that.
Nice, man. Well, Sean, I appreciate you taking the time today, and it was good chatting to you. So I'll see you in Vegas, I guess.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.